good morning and welcome to the Morning Spotlight Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ham, coming to you as always from the Spotlight Studios in Morristown, New Jersey. We're switching it up a little bit today. We're doing our first ever food-related episode, which I'm really excited about. We actually have one of my favorite Instagram accounts to follow on with us today. It's Karen Wheeler. Her Instagram handle is wheelsinAustin_. Karen, how you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. So let's just, because I'm sure maybe like my listeners on my end are probably the only ones, they may not know who you are. And I know you a little bit from different conversations that we've had and liking each other's food posts on Instagram. So why don't you take us through a little bit about you and what you do and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. Well, my day job is I actually sell pharmaceuticals, but due to COVID-19 and the current situation, I've been kind of work from home on and off since March, since quarantine first started. And I actually sell pharmaceuticals that help with patients with lung impairment. So all of my customers are more pulmonologists and physicians that are in the critical care unit. So they're taking care of patients who have active COVID. So I've been using digital platforms and contacting them through phone and things like that, doing my job from home. So that frees up a lot of time to be able to do all the things that you've been seeing online.
Yeah. And even before that, even before COVID started, I was saying before, I'm not joking around. I really liked watching some of the stuff that you put up there because it was all really good stuff.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I actually built up the confidence to start posting foods and recipes and meals that I cook because my friends just encouraged it, and then it just kind of took off, and one thing led to another. And actually last year I was contacted by a producer out of LA, and that kind of helped spur everything along, and I got invited to audition for a cooking show.
Okay.
And then that because of COVID, from what I understand, they're not even going to go through with another season. So, but that's kind of how all this sparked with me posting all the food posts and the recipes.
Yeah. So do you have a background like in cooking, or are you just one of these people, maybe like me, that just like really enjoys it and then just kind of it snowballed from there?
I have no culinary experience, like going to a culinary school or anything like that. Mine comes from just a lot of years of practice in the kitchen. I have 3 kids, and my oldest and my second one is now in college, and I've got only one at home. So I've just spent years in the kitchen practicing from a young age. My grandmother is an immigrant and came over from Korea. So at a very young age, I watched her labor every day in the kitchen, and she made her own soy sauce and fermented her own kimchi. And so I observed a lot of that growing up, and didn't really appreciate that authentic Korean food until later in life, because I just thought that's what everybody did.
Right.
And so,
yeah.
It comes from a very young age of just watching my grandmother. She had a big hand in raising me, and then just kind of took off from there and got my own family and started cooking.
Right. Yeah. No, it's awesome. So for everybody listening, if you haven't, I'm going to make sure that I put Karen's handle in the show notes, but make sure that if you don't follow her already, that you do that ASAP, because you're missing out for sure. So I didn't even realize that you have a Korean background and all that kind of stuff. So why don't you take us through some stuff that like maybe you enjoy cooking? Maybe it's all over the place. So I have the Hambone BBQ account, and like I'm a really simple guy, right? So like my stuff that I post, I think is very easy and very like simple, but some of the stuff that you post is a little bit more involved, I guess. So maybe some stuff that you enjoy cooking, you enjoy eating, that kind of stuff.
Sure. So my husband is from New Orleans, so I love Cajun food. I love spicy. Obviously, Korean food is spicy as well. But my father is also from South Carolina, so I love Southern food and just kind of that soul food, stick to your ribs kind of food. And I like things like griots and grits. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's kind of like beef tips over cheesy grits. I like shrimp and grits. anything like that. I try not to post too complicated recipes online because a lot of my followers like to, replicate the recipes and everything. But yeah, if I had my favorite, it would be like kind of we joke in the house and say Cajun because it's like Cajun / Asian cuisine.
Yeah.
So it's
Like a fusion. You're doing fusion and you might not even know it.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, but yeah, I love spicy.
Okay. All right. I'm not a big spicy guy myself, but that's maybe it's just my taste buds living in New Jersey my whole life, it's a little bit different. But so maybe like, do you have, I know I was actually just looking on before we got on here on Sunday, you posted the short ribs, the braised short ribs.
Yes.
I mean, phenomenal. Again, go
thank
follow
you.
Karen. But maybe like, so what are like some of your favorite recipes that you've made that are just like for me, like I would put my ribs, I know this is biased because they're mine, but against anybody's. That's like my favorite thing to cook. I've worked really hard to try to like get it just right. So do you have any recipes like that you have?
Absolutely. So I would first and foremost would say my griots and grits, my shrimp and grits. But if you ask my kids, they would like my wings.
Okay.
And every time, I mean, I have a son who's 17. He just turned 17 the other day. And every time his friends are over, man, that's what they want. So,
yeah.
And they're fairly easy to make. You can find the recipe on my website or on Instagram as well. So.
What kind of wings? I mean, you gotta give us a little more than that.
Oh, okay. So, well, I make two different kinds. They like the buffalo wings, and then I also have a lemon pepper recipe with lots of garlic and lemon pepper that they love too. So fairly easy. I cook them in the oven.
Okay.
I don't fry them, and olive oil, garlic, and either butter and Frank's Red Hot. I like to use that, not the wing sauce, but I like to use the original. And then I use a spice called Spiceology, and that's what lemon pepper I use. So
awesome. So, I mean, you're in Austin, Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did you wind up in Austin, Texas? I don't think
I actually am an Army brat, believe it or not. So
okay.
Most of my childhood, I grew up in Oklahoma, went to college in Oklahoma. And then my first gig out of college, I sold Percocet.
Okay.
I sold narcotics from, I-45 I-40 all the way down to Graham, Texas. And was there in Oklahoma for about 5 years of my career. And then in 2005, moved to Austin. And really where I was in Oklahoma didn't really afford me the opportunity to promote within the pharmaceutical company I was with because I was out in rural Oklahoma. So Austin presented a number of opportunities, not only through my career, but also with our kids and education and things like that. And there was just so much to do here in Austin. It's diverse and we've just loved it. We've called it our home since. It's a great place to raise your kids.
Yeah, I haven't been, and I've heard great things. So I got to get down there. And when I do,
oh yeah,
I make sure I reach out. You can show me around or whatever. So
absolutely, I would love that.
Yeah. So I guess why I asked that question was I was just curious just to see, like, I mean, Austin obviously has like a big, and this is, my end too, like a big barbecue culture, right? I know it's very diverse, so it has a lot of different, things involved in it, but do you do any barbecue stuff or, because I know you're doing like the Southern soul food type stuff and the Cajun stuff from, New Orleans and all the different influences and stuff. So is there any barbecue going on there?
Yes, I do. I do make a brisket. I also can do ribs. But my kid's favorite is Korean barbecue.
Okay.
So I do a lot of that. I don't know if you have experience making Korean barbecue, but
I do not. I have not.
Have you ever tried it?
I have not.
Oh.
I mean, everyone keeps telling me like, you got to go give it a shot. And I want to, it's just, like right now it's a little bit challenging to go find something that's good and get it like the right way. Cause you could do takeout all you want, but I feel like it's like a little bit different when you actually like sit down and they actually have the grill and the whole thing. So
yes. Oh, you have to try it if you ever get a chance. It's not spicy. So
perfect.
It's kind of a sweet flavor, but not too sweet. And the sweetness comes from like an Asian pear. So you'll love it.
Yeah.
You won't be disappointed, I promise.
So I guess another question I would have is so like I also have no culinary background, right? Never went to culinary school, never took any cooking lessons, none of that stuff. So everything that I've done has just kind of been like either stuff that I just kind of think of on the fly because I've lived alone for a lot of my life and I just, had to cook to make sure that I could actually eat. And I didn't gain 500 pounds from eating out, at different restaurants all the time. But one of the things that like is like my weakness, like I have a problem going into Barnes and Noble and like just buying as many cookbooks as I could possibly find. And I have a couple favorites, but I wanted to see if you had any favorites yourself. Like where are you getting this inspiration from?
There are a couple of cookbooks I have. They're all like Southern cookbooks. I don't even know the names of them. And they're like 100 years old.
Yeah.
They're so old. I think one of them actually comes from my mother-in-law, and it's a Cajun cookbook. But just, stuff like I said, I don't even remember the names of them. They're just kind of pieced together. But honestly, my most favorite recipes are like family recipes or, things that I've kept literally for years, and I just make the same thing,
Right.
and my family loves it. So, cooking is such a passion for me, and, that's how I love my people. So,
Right. Yeah.
and so, my grandmother, I can remember her cooking, and every time she cooked, it always brought everyone together. And that's what I love about cooking. And like I said, that's how I love my people too. It's how she
Yeah.
loved hers. So.
Right. Yeah. I 100% agree. Like one of the one kind of day, like if I could pick how I would end, I had my last day on earth, like the smoker's on, we're sitting outside. It's a nice day. There's some music, got some beers in a can, that kind of stuff. Because it's just like, it's such like a social thing. Like not even just barbecue, just like you said, just cooking just brings people together. And I think that, like culturally, socially, family type stuff, it just, it's able to cross all different kinds of borders. Because who doesn't like to eat good food? Like,
Right.
is there anybody out there that's like that? I don't think so.
Right.
Right. So, all right. So a new thing that you've been doing that I've noticed on your Instagram page is TikTok. So,
Yes.
why don't you just take us through like how you got involved in TikTok and like why you made the jump, and then we'll kind of dive into it a little bit more.
Okay, sure. So I originally got TikTok because my kids were on it, and I posted a few recipes, and then it just kind of fell off for me. I just couldn't really get into it. But in early April, when we all went to work at home and quarantine mode, I had all this extra time. So I just, posted a couple of videos, and it was really just foolery, right?
Right.
And they started to take off. And about 2 weeks into it, I had one TikTok go viral. And I actually was on the front cover of Cosmopolitan, the
I didn't know that until
online
just now.
version.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no one told me. And it was on, I woke up Easter Sunday, and my neighbor called and said, "Girl, you are like on the front of Cosmopolitan magazine. They're saying you've got the funniest TikTok." And I'm like, "No way. You've got to be kidding me. Like, how come no one told me?" And so apparently it was on their online version. And so, of course, with the teenagers, they're like, "Miss Wheeler, you're blowing up." And so they sent me the copy or whatever. And I was like, that is so cool. And then a couple days later, I actually heard from the Ellen DeGeneres show. And so no one really knows this, but they asked me to audition for her Game of Games.
Okay.
So I kind of went through that this summer, but it just started taking off. And then I started incorporating the cooking with the foolery. And sometimes it's just the foolery.
Right.
And so yeah, it's just kind of evolved into this thing. And they contacted me a couple weeks ago. And so now I'm a TikTok content creator. So I'm actually getting paid to do so I'm like,
it's crazy how stuff like that works out,
It is insane. And, who knew that I would actually, in my adult life, get paid to act like a fool?
Right. Yeah, but if
It
I mean,
is what
listen,
it is.
yeah, right. I mean, a couple extra bucks here and there, and that's not a big deal.
That's right.
Yeah,
So that's kind of how that all evolved. And then Reels is now on Instagram too. So I think that's kind of competing.
right,
And so yeah, I just started using that platform to post the same type of videos.
right.
So
I gotcha. So do you? So you said you're a content creator. Like you working with different like brands and different products to try to promote those, or is it more just on just make them and we'll
well, so not yet on TikTok, but I have had some businesses contact me for Instagram, and so I have done some paid partnerships with some food companies to post on my Instagram and on my stories. So I have done that. Haven't done it on TikTok yet. I'm just trying to think of things to create content every single day there, but have
yeah.
not been approached yet for that platform.
And a
So
lot of dances, right? I think
a
I saw
lot of
some
dances. I have a background in cheering, so
Okay, so you're
I
making these
cheered
dances up
for.
as you go.
No.
Oh, all right, all
Well,
right.
so, some of them, but the most part, they're TikTok dances.
I
I
gotcha.
cheered for years. Went to international competition when I was in high school. I cheered in college, and so I get asked that question way too many times if I was a cheerleader, and the answer is yes. So if you can't tell,
It worked out, I mean, I would
it
say
worked
that it worked
out.
out. Yeah.
I can't hide the cheer moves.
So I want to make sure that we talk a little bit about the different platforms that people can go find you on. We'll make sure that we put all of these in the show notes, like I said earlier. Obviously, the Instagram page is Wheels in Austin _.
Yes.
I know you said you had a website. What's on the website? Tell us more about that.
Yes. So the website is mainly recipes. It's all you can find, breakfast, lunch, dinner. I have a blog on there, like for snacks, snacks that smack. And that's www.cookingwithkaren.com.
Okay.
And so, but my TikTok platform is the same handle as my Instagram. I also have a Twitter, same handle, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Facebook as Karen Howard Wheeler. But yeah, and then I have my website, and people can go on there. I often get asked about the tools I use in the kitchen, like my garlic rocker and then my chopper, and that's all linked on my account as well.
Gotcha. So so you mentioned those two tools. That just jogged a question in my head. Like, what is the one, like if you could go into the kitchen, you can only bring one thing that you need. What's that one thing?
It would be my cast iron skillet.
Okay. I need a cast iron skillet, I think, because like every time I want to cook a steak, I mean, I don't have one, so I think I need one.
Oh, yes. I love my cast iron skillet, but I have several favorites, my KitchenAid mixer. I mean, it does so much more than just baking. But I do have a garlic rocker. It's the easiest. I've used a lot of presses and rockers and things in my life. And I definitely like the rocker the best. The chopper saves time, and I can chop, onions in there and not have to worry about crying.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. So, all right, I think we are going to move our show into our closing segment. Now, we talked about this a little bit before we got on here, so I gave you some time to prep. But this is going to be a harder one. So the closing segment, as our listeners already know, is called Under the Spotlight. So normally for our real estate episodes, we have our panelists give, a prediction or, one thing that they want to leave the audience with. Some of our other non-real estate episodes, it's like their final point. So I'm going to put you under the spotlight. What is one thing that you think that you want our listeners to walk, like they're listening to Karen Wheeler episode of the Morning Spotlight podcast. What do you want them to remember as they walk away from this episode?
I would just say, try everything and anything. I mean, like, who knew that I would be here doing this with you to,
right.
Just like, I've got like a little hamster wheel in my head, and I just come up with all these ideas. And then, going into quarantine mode really made me like put those into practice.
Yeah.
And like, And even if you don't know how, start. That would be my advice. Is like one of my New Year's resolutions this year was to try the things that I want to do, even if I don't know how. And I didn't know what I was doing with TikTok. I didn't know what I was doing with like posting these random cooking videos on Instagram. But you know what? I had a producer reach out to me. I had this opportunity with Ellen and all these things that kind of just happened because I tried.
Right.
And it doesn't mean, I mean, golly, I've also failed a lot of
Haven't we
times.
all? Haven't we all?
You know, and I'll put something out there and I think, oh my gosh, this is so cornball. And, you know, and then, but you never know. You like the video that went viral for me, the first one, I just had no idea that it would take off. So you just never know. And that would be my thing, is to try and never give up. And even if you don't know how, you've got to start.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like, I think from a podcasting standpoint, like I've always been in, like, I remember as a kid, I would like go on my parents' like big old computer and like record stuff. Like I was like listening to like sports talk radio here in Jersey and different stuff. And I like wanted to try to like be like those guys, but then that was pretty much it. Like I never did anything with that after. And then all of a sudden, like quarantine's here and I just needed to try to figure out some different avenues to get myself out there. And I just tried this and I have literally no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if that's obvious or not, but
No, it's not.
I've never done this before. Just tried it and then really enjoyed it. And, you know, here we are. And it's not a smash hit by any stretch of the imagination, but we're getting there. You know, you never
That's
know
awesome.
like when the break's going to come, you know? So I think that's great advice. So that's going to wrap up our show. I want to thank Karen Wheeler for coming on with us today. Obviously couldn't have done it without you. Like I've said probably 10 times already throughout this episode, I am going to put all of her stuff, the website, the TikTok handle, the Instagram handle, the, you know, Twitter handle, whatever it is, in the show notes. So if you want to see some good recipes, get some good food content, because who doesn't like that? I mean, basically my entire Instagram is baseball and food. So make sure that you follow her and reach out to her if you have any questions or if you want to like see more things. So also, if you want to be a guest on the Morning Spotlight, or if you have something that you think you want to hear us, me and a panel or a guest talk about, email us at themorningspotlight@gmail.com or go to our website at themorningspotlight.com. Karen, thanks for coming on with us today.
Thank you so much for having me, Mike. I really appreciate it. This
Absolutely.
has been fun.
Keep the content coming. All right. Keep it coming because I love it. I think it's awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. I
Of course.
appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And everybody else, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week.